Hello, scrufftards, degenerates, and random internet weirdos. Welcome to the Warzone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And we're gonna be focusing on Kursk and Pokrovsk, two towns in particular that Ukraine is holding. Two towns that are holding back the Russian hordes. And should Russia push through and grab these two towns, it will be potentially disastrous for Ukraine, both in Kursk and at Pokrovsk. So let's take a look at it. But remember, Ukraine is still holding on to these extremely important towns. Right, so we're starting off here with Andrew Perpetua's map this time around, and not much has happened in Kursk for several days. The lines appear to be static, and it's basically the same if we take a look at Deep State or Mayakovsk 73 or whoever. The important thing is obviously here at Krylovka, the Russians have not advanced any further. This is extremely crucial. All of this up here, not at all on the same level of importance as what's happening down here at this small town right here at the Krylovka. We'll return to that later on. Moving down north of Kharkiv, not much happening here either according to the maps. Lines are static as well. Russia has pushed out into Dvorichna, and they are closing in on these vital bridges. But other than that, not much happening. Here at Kupiansk, Russia is pushing southward a bit. If we take a look, you can see here. Hang on. So we're on the 14th here. You can see here how they're pushing forward bit by bit, day by day. So there is a push southward here by the Russians. What I think is going on here with Dvorichna is that Russia, they haven't really made any attempts to cross the river for several years, but they have continued to pushing southward towards Kupiansk. Remember the trouble they had at Synkivka when they were trying to push out this way here. Especially there were a lot of videos of multiple Russian armored vehicles being destroyed right here. And this patch of woods, it's just, broken logs and branches, and it's full of trench lines. So they have managed to partially make it past Synkivka. Well, they've made it past, but they haven't taken Synkivka. And, steadily tried to push into the industrialized zone here outside of Kupiansk. And now they realized it's a dead end. So they're now pushed across to take Dvorichna and the bridges. Is this an attempt to come in on Kupiansk from the north, or is it to draw resources away from Kupiansk to make this push here easier? Who knows? But I do believe Dvorichna, the attack on Dvorichna, is a recent plan simply because they have failed in reaching Kupiansk and they needed to figure out something else, right? So crossing the river was never part of the plan until this point. The initial plan was reaching Kupiansk, but they have now been forced to reach Dvorichna to either draw away resources from Kupiansk or maybe be able to come in from the north and move down towards Kupiansk along this road here. But anyway, so that's Kupiansk in short terms. And here you have Velika Novosilka basically surrounded and cut off. We'll see you can see here how Russia has pushed up and cut the supply line. It's been cut for a while, ever since they pushed up to this point. But Velika Novosilka really should be the Ukrainians here really need to consider moving out. They've been cut off from the north and in the west, and not sure how they will figure out and solve the logistics into town. Because if Russia controls this road and this road, it's only a matter of time before this town here falls. Russia has pushed up the river Sukhayali, the river of Sukhayali, as we've talked about, and haven't really made any major gains towards Andrivka and Constantinople. I expect we will see that in the coming weeks, but we might expect some heavy Ukrainian resistance between Rozliv, Constantinople and Ulakli, since this is what is defending the defenses over here. If Russia pushes up to Constantinople, there are no reinforcements, no supplies coming into this part of the battlefield. And like we've talked about before, Russia has been pushing up to Ukrainka and Novolenivka, coming in from the north, and it's becoming a narrow point here where Ukraine can move in reinforcements to this part of the battlefield here between, and that location here between Andrivka and Ukrainka. And someone blew up the bridge, Russia or Ukraine, I don't know, but the bridge is blown. So that's the thing. What else? And here is the most crucial update in the last couple of days. It is how Russia has managed to push out to Pishane and come up here in between Vovkova and Pishane. This is a major move by Russia, and it is extremely dangerous for Ukraine and Pokrovsk. And let's explore why that is. And yeah, here's my map, Pokrovsk area, and I haven't really updated it. Been busy with Christmas and what have you, and there's a lot to update with the map, especially down here. Within the dotted line is approximately where Russia has managed to push in, taking Ukrainka, Novovelivka, and they are in the outskirts here of they are in this part of town. And cat and a goddamn Christmas, you get son of a, sorry about that. Now the dog's after the cat. Jesus Christ. Anyway. So as you can see, Russia has managed to push out quite a ways. And I mean, to illustrate my point, I've pointed it out in previous videos. If they come down through Yasenova, push up towards Andrivka, I mean, it is a narrow gap here where the Ukrainians can operate and bring in logistics and zooming in, not any roads at all going from west to east to support the front line, except for maybe dirt tracks in this valley here. And I mean, if we get this far, we know where Russia will guide all drones and where they will aim all the artillery. It will be to deny Ukraine the use of the potential roads and dirt tracks located in this valley. So yeah, it's looking difficult for Ukraine in this part of the battlefield at the moment. We also have Russia pushing out from Stary Terny. All the mappers are in agreement, and towards Shevchenko, reaching this far. But I mean, zooming in, what the hell are they in control of? All the mappers say that Russia is in control of this space here, these wide open fields. I mean, I don't get it. Maybe, I mean, it means Russia may be in control of these windbreaks here. Is the only thing I can figure out. This is a Solona River. This is a waterway overgrown. Maybe here is elevation in the terrain, maybe a small valley, or I don't know. Maybe there's something you can hide in here. But the main location where the Russians can set up shop and find cover is here. So I'm thinking Russia has made it across to these windbreaks and they are in control of these trees here. And that is why all the mappers have indicated that Russia has made it across and are in control of the fields. This area is also contested. I think it's Kursk 73 that has all of this under Russian control. Deep State has this area up here as contested. But if Russia can push across these wide open fields, I mean, it suggests that they are in control of these windbreaks and down here as well, so that they can cross along the road here and the fields to establish a presence closer to Shevchenko. So I'm thinking that this might be entirely under Russian control, as Maya Kursk 73 is suggesting. But if we take a look at Russian gains here at Pishane, this is the interesting and important part of the battlefield here at Pokrovsk at the moment. Remember, I've been saying for, 4 or 5 months at this point, that everything within the blue dotted line here, the river, everything within that river, Russia will eventually gain control over. Ukraine can only slow them down and inflict as many casualties as possible, but Russia will push out to the river. That is inevitable. And I think that is part of Ukraine's plan, to slowly fall back, inflict as many casualties as possible, and weaken the Russian army as much as possible before we have an eventual battle within Pokrovsk and Myrnorod. Because if there is a big urban battle, Ukraine actually stands a chance of winning that battle against Russia here in Pokrovsk and Myrnorod. The Russians, they know more than likely that this is what's happening. They unfortunately have no choice, they have no choice. They have to push out to the river despite Ukraine wanting them to do that and lose all the troops they're going to lose. Because this gives Russia the opportunity to try and come up here behind Pokrovsk or west of Pokrovsk and reaching all the white dotted lines. And those lines are Ukrainian supply routes. So Russia needs to cut these supply routes to have as good a chance as possible of winning in Myrnorod and Pokrovsk. So here is where we are at the moment. They have broken through and taken most of Shevchenko and pushed up towards Pishane. You have these yellow dotted areas. This was a single line, unbroken. That also included Kryvyi Yar, Krasny Yar, Mykolaiivka, all the way up to Rodivka. So as you can see, Russia came in here, broke through the yellow dotted line. That represents the outer perimeter as I see it. Broke the outer perimeter, and here they have now a point of attack towards Myrnorod. They swung down this way, came up here, and they are now trying to establish a assault point to push into Pokrovsk. So Ukraine, they can build up all the defenses they need over here. Same thing here and over here. They can't build defenses here because Russia is right next to the town. Russia now wants to do the same here, push in, open a breach so that they can push in. Ukraine can build and fortify all they want all over the place. But Russia will be able to hold Pishane and have an access point. So you can see that they are about to breach through another second point here in the outer perimeter. So they have entered the southern outskirts of Peshana and pushed up through the terrain features, the valleys, the windbreaks, coming up this way between Vovkova and Peshana. And they are in effect through what I would describe as the outer perimeter. And this is now when things become crucial here at Pokrovsk. Because down here we have a small valley, and then we have upward slopes. You can even see them here, right? These are the slopes. And then you have this natural defensive line with the railway here. Small village of Kotlyne, you have a big factory. Udachne, a town, another big factory. And Russia appears to be setting the stage to pushing through the outer perimeter and begin pushing through these additional defensive lines to the west of Pokrovsk, where they will cut one supply line after the other. And if they get this far, then they can begin pushing up this way to cut more supply lines. And then Pokrovsk and Myrnarod have one, maybe two routes where supplies can be brought in safely. So I've always said for these 4 or 5 months that I'm not worried about Ukraine losing territory over here. Not worried at all. They can afford losing territory here as long as they inflict these massive amounts of casualties, which they've done so far. The issue is if Russia can push through the outer perimeter and then make it up to this defensive line here along the main railway here. And here we are, they're pushing strongly, made it past Shevchenko, like I talked about, is it 4 months ago when I made a video about this becoming Stalingrad. I was talking about Shevchenko, how they would come up this way and come up to the west. Here we are, they're now moving into Peshana, moving between Peshave and Vovkova. And they are close. Russia is about to pierce through here and trying to reach these vital supply lines. This is dangerous, and this has me worried. Ukraine still has the ability to hold the line here, like I've marked, especially up here. But this is troublesome, and this is what we didn't want to see happen. We wanted Ukraine to hold Shevchenko, to hold these 3 lines here and the area around this lake. And obviously Russia has pushed in a lot of forces to break through here, and they are now snaking their way through the outer perimeter. And well, Ukraine needs to plug this hole. They really do. They really do need to reinforce here to deny Russia the chance to continue to push up to the west of Pokrovsk. Jumping up to Kursk, and yeah, not much has happened as far as I can tell. And the lines appear static up here in the north and northeast, or northwest, I mean. Russia has not managed to push out from Darino, haven't managed to make any further headway here around Nizhny Klin, haven't been able to push into Leonodovo as far as I can tell, and struggling to push out from the lake towards Kurglenkoe down here, and haven't really been able to push in around Pogrebki after Ukraine pushed them back and threw them out of this town. So this is good. Don't get me wrong, all of this is excellent. Ukraine is holding the line and Russia is struggling, and it appears as if the North Koreans haven't made any further headway as well with their human wave attacks. But all of this is secondary. Like I said, here is where the real battle is. Russia managed to push through Plekovo, we talked about this, and then they made this push right here, north of the river Pesel, towards Krylovka. And I've talked about this before, and I'm going to highlight it just for good measure. This river system here, coming from the from within Ukraine, going into Russia, down to Sudzha, continues south here, and comes down to Guevo and back into Ukraine down here. This river system serves as the last line of defense, more or less, for Ukraine in Kursk. Losing territory outside of that river system, just like down at Pokrovsk, Ukraine can afford losing territory out here as long as they're inflicting massive amounts of casualties, which they have done. The problem is, if Russia can get wind inside of this river system, then they can begin pushing towards this road here. The main supply route leading from Sumy to Sudzha, and this is along this road is where all supplies more or less are flowing to support the Ukrainian efforts in Kursk. If Russia can cut this supply route, the entire Kursk operation falls apart and Ukraine has to fall back and retreat in its entirety from Russia and from Kursk. So, Russia needs to find a way to get across these rivers to reach this highway here. And that location is up here, or multiple bridges around Sudzha, a bridge here at Guevo, or here at Kurilovka. If we zoom in, the river Sudzha is a narrow creek at this location. And you also have some ponds here, but as you can see, you can push across on foot around here. Same thing here, right? Yes, the river Pesel, it's wide, but the river Sudzha at this point, it's not wide at all. You don't need all that much to get across, by the looks of it on the satellite images, one should add, right? You can barely see it here. So, I mean, it's probably marshes, boglands, and what have you, but there's a reason why Russia has made this push right here towards Kurilovka. They don't have to worry about a wide river like the Pesel and an existing bridge. Same thing up here. Sudzha River bridges here and here. Don't have to worry about that. Surrounded by towns, high ground and what have you. Here they can push into a relatively small, narrow village that is not as easily defended as the larger towns here of Sudzha and Guevo. And Russia will, if they push in here, get across the Sudzha River and get inside that natural defensive barrier, and then they can push towards this logistical route, right? So I'm thinking that this is what Russia wants to achieve. Guevo won't be isolated. There's a road coming up this way towards Oleshnya. They might try and focus on Guevo just to protect their flank, the Russians that is. But the main objective by pushing in here is to be able to more than likely continue towards this vital logistical route going from Sudzha towards Sumy. And they're right. This is doable. Russia can get away with this. They can cross the river Sudzha here at Kurilovka. And then it's just a matter of resources and throwing bodies at the problem. They will break through. They will push towards Melovoy push onwards towards these rivers and creeks here at the Oleshnya and Gogolevka, and then they are right here at the last supply route, this vital, the only supply route that Ukraine can effectively rely on to support this entire operation. So, I mean, you see people, oh, they're holding the line up here, and so many North Koreans have died in these woods. Matters nothing. The distractions, they're drawing artillery away from the real fight. And that's down here. And this has me worried. I've been talking about the river at Pokrovsk, and if Russia could push past the river and come up west of Pokrovsk, how that is worrisome. The only thing that has worried me for these past 4 or 5 months. And it's the same thing here with Kursk. This river system here, if Russia could get across it, get inside of it, that is the one thing that has had me worried. Ukrainian losses outside of that river system hasn't worried me at all, as long as they're inflicting casualties. Now we are at that moment when Russia can get across the river, get within the river, and actively push towards this supply route. And this has me worried. I haven't been worried for 4 or 5 months, not with Pokrovsk or Kursk. Ukraine has been playing the defense in a very effective manner, in my humble opinion, not being an expert. But now we have reached a point where it is critical. You have the critical location here at Kurilovka. If Russia can push through, it will endanger the entire operation here in Kursk. And we also have the situation down here at Peshane and Vovkove, that if Russia can push through here and come up here east of Kotline, Pokrovsk is in real danger, and Russia can cut 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 supply lines in relative short order if they manage to come up this way towards the railroad here west of Pokrovsk. Crucial battle here between Vovkove and Peshane, and a crucial battle being fought up here at Kurilovka. The 2 most important battles taking place at the moment in this war. That's my assessment. Crossing the river north of Kupiansk, not important at all. Russia trying to cross the Dnipro at Kherson. I think that might be diversions primarily to draw Ukrainian resources away from other places on the front line. Distractions. North Koreans attacking en masse up here. Distractions. They're meant to die, and they're meant to force Ukraine to allocate artillery and drones to kill North Koreans up here, enabling Russia to make this push into Kurilovka. And then eventually I think we will see a massive Russian push towards this highway here. But when did I make a video on this last time? Is it 4 or 5 days ago? That in itself is actually gives you some hope, I guess. The map hasn't really moved in 4 or 5 days. That means that Ukraine is holding the line here at Kurilovka. Russia has not managed to push beyond those 2 farms that they managed to push in and grab. They have not managed to push in to threaten Kurilovka and threaten those important crossing locations down here. So Ukraine is holding the line. You have directly west of Kurilovka, here you have a bunch of high ground. Let's see if we can... the farmland here, these patches, between all the woods. These are actually large hills, big hills that are overlooking the town or village, I should say. So when Russia is trying to push across these marshes here, Ukraine has some high ground that allows them to fire down on the Russians. So Ukraine is holding line here, and that is encouraging. That gives me some hope, but it is I'm worried. I really am. I mean, I expect Russia to push through, to be honest, in at least within a week. But Ukraine has so far held for at least 4 to 5 days here at Kurilovka, which is truly encouraging. And, well, truth be told, Russia has not pushed past Pishane yet. They managed to push up this way. That is not, a major breakthrough unless they can expand this breach and grab Pishane itself. I mean, it's not unlikely that Russia will pull it off. But yeah, it is. Ukraine is holding on. I mean, this is on the 23rd, and then on the 24th, and now a couple of days later, not much has happened. So obviously, Ukraine is throwing troops and ammunition at the problem. But I mean, Russia, they're smelling blood. They know that this is where they can push through. This is where they need to get through to come up east of Kotlina and reach the railroad. Because then they can cut all of these supply lines leading into Pokrovsk. Yeah, I'm worried. I really am. Russia has reached 2 crucial locations where they can well and truly make important operational and strategical advances that will make life really difficult for Ukraine. So, yeah, a lot of rambling about 2 tiny towns that are extremely important. And yes, I am actually worried. I haven't been worried for, 4 or 5 months or whatever it is I've been making videos about Kursk and Pokrovsk in particular, but now I am. Now we reached a point where Russia can actually do significant damage to the defenses of the Ukrainian lines, where they will have important breakthroughs if they push through these 2 towns. So yes, I am worried, and all Ukraine can do is keep doing what they're doing, inflicting as many casualties as possible. I mean, I've called these rivers, these towns, the point of no return in these past months that I've been making these videos about Kursk and Pokrovsk, and it is a point of no return. Russia must not be allowed to move past these 2 towns, because then the defense of Pokrovsk might actually fall apart, and the entire Kursk campaign may fall apart if they push past these towns, past these 2 lines of no return. Yeah, Ukraine is well and truly in trouble in both of these locations. But enough of that. Hopefully Ukraine has an ace up their sleeve and can surprise the Russians. So with that, all I have to say is go på marsch, Ukraine, and give them hell.